Hello, my fellow angels and demons. Uh, this took a while again. I am so sorry. Life kinda distracted me. But here I am, continuing what I had started, and this time we will look at the new generation of the Elemental Knighthood. I recommend rewatching the first two videos in case you forgot stuff. A bit of context, aside from the first character that will be introduced, these characters used to be antagonists. They were used and manipulated by the main villain and misguided in their actions. It took time, but we managed to help them see the truth and they switched sides with us. Canonically, this happened 2 years ago, aka when Dark and Stormy were 17. And now the group lives all together in a large house. Let's meet them, shall we? First we'll meet Chris. Yep, he too is a part of the story. Chris was born in a clan that unfortunately was lost in flames. The clan had strange magic that did not fit the realm of elementals, thus it was called mystery. This magic gave the ability to mimic others' abilities, but it also makes the user mimic their personalities. If not careful, the user can lose themselves in those personalities. The magic is hereditary, and unfortunately there were battles from within and outside the clan, slowly leading it to its demise. Chris's mother managed to send him away before the flames engulfed everything. Through the years, Chris has mostly traveled alone. He's met many friends, but said goodbyes to most of them due to his magic and his own mental defense mechanism. Then one day he met Dark and Stormy and immediately became friends throughout their conversation. Knowing he could trust them, he decided to stick around, and soon the three of them found an apartment and lived together for a while, helping him grow as a person. However, he eventually decided to travel alone once more to control his magic better and not let him lose himself in it. The three of them may be on different paths, but they still call each other to see how the other is doing. Chris is goofy, but is also kind and protective. Since his magic makes him mimic others' abilities, we can never know what he'll do next. Then we meet Josh Collins, the fire magic user of the group. Josh's parents had an unhappy marriage and thought that having kids would help fix it. The parents got their first child and got Josh by accident a year later. Unfortunately, they soon realized that having children would not be able to fix their broken marriage, so they filed for divorce. But Josh's mother died in a massive car crash before the proceedings were over, leaving the father to get full custody. Knowing he would not be able to provide for both children, he sent Josh to an orphanage. It didn't take long before getting adopted by the Cuillins, a couple who had tried to have children many times but had failed each time. Josh grew up never knowing about his biological parents, and he was happy. He also managed to make 3 friends, and they were very close and still are to this day. Eventually, the Cuillins actually managed to have a child of their own, and Josh was very happy to have a younger sibling. When Josh was 14, he met a mysterious being, aka the main villain, and this was when he and his friends were manipulated and used as pawns. Josh, his younger sibling, and his friends went all missing. That is until Dark and Stormy freed them from the villain's lies. Thankfully, once the Cuillins heard the entire story, they were very understanding and they were just glad and happy that their children were safe and back home. Josh is sweet, very kind, kind of like a gentleman. He treats people with respect, but he's also a huge dork and sometimes acts before thinking, but he has good intentions every time. Next up is Josh's younger brother, Kenny Collins. Just like Stormy and Toby are very close, Josh and Kenny are also very close. Josh would always make sure that Kenny is okay and help him whenever he needs. Once he got older, he was immediately cherished by Josh's friends and part of the group. He was only 7 when the main villain managed to manipulate Josh and the others, and he was also brought along because the villain saw a lot of potential in him. However, despite his young age, manipulating him was harder than expected, as Kenny always had his doubts about the main villain's intentions. And a year later, Kenny did learn the truth about their quote-unquote mentor. This discovery cost him his voice, as the villain took it away, threatening him to not tell the truth or the others would get hurt. When Josh questioned about Kenny's sudden lack of voice, the villain lied and said Kenny was cursed. The truth only came to light weeks after the group joined sides with Dark and Stormy. Norman was the one who managed to convince him to tell them, and so Kenny simply gave Josh his diary where he had written everything. Kenny's parents were horrified when they learned the truth about Kenny's voice, and the next day they immediately bought many markers and small whiteboards to keep around the house and began learning sign language to communicate with Kenny, which made him very glad and happy. Kenny is sweet, but still very mature for his age. Like he does with Toby, Cyrus acts as a therapist for him to help him get through the traumas he experienced. Still, he's very joyful, especially when he's with Toby and Jerry, and he loves his family and friends more than anything. Next up, we have Martha Carin, the very kind and sweet-natured magic user of the group. She can be a tad shy, but once she gets to know you more, she becomes more at ease. Martha used to live under her parents' roof, and unfortunately, this was a very toxic environment. As a lone child, her parents' focus was solely on her, giving her lots of pressure. They were very adamant that failure was not an option and would hit her if she didn't meet their expectations. The only time she was at peace was when she was with her friends. She didn't hesitate to leave when Josh told her about their new mentor. Since then, she hadn't returned home and ignored the angry calls of her parents, even after she had joined Dark and Stormy. She told them how her family treated her, and Dark, Stormy, and Cyrus promised her that they would keep her safe, and they kept their promise. Her parents, aside from angry calling, never once tried to find her, and one day the calls mysteriously stopped. Martha never looked back and simply kept moving forward by the group's side. Martha is very kind-hearted and loving, but even so she will never back down from a fight if it means protecting her friends. Then we have Lily Beline, the water magic user of the group. She often has a poker face, but she isn't emotionless by any means. She comes from a rich and very conservative family. They were very adamant that women had to be feminine and take care of the house, while the men had to provide for the family. She never liked that one bit. When her friends mentioned how their new mentor, aka the main villain, could save her from this place, she immediately packed her bags and never looked back. She took her grandmother's last name in her honor, as she was the only one supportive of her being a true self, changed style and haircut, and left. She thought it was all fine, but quickly realized once the truth was out that even then she wasn't free. She was just a pawn being used again. Now she can truly be who she wants to be and is finally happy. Lily is rather strong, as she has a very good grip on her magic like Dark does, and is very smart. She tends to stay in the background, however, but the group is always more than happy to hear her inputs. Then let us meet the wind magic user of the group, Tina Whirlwind. As far as she can remember, she's always been an orphan. The only thing she has left of her biological parents is her last name. Tina has been put in the care of many different foster families through the years, but she's never felt at home in any of them because none of them truly made her feel like she was family. That is until she was sent in the foster care of an old couple. They were kind and loving and immediately treated Tina as if she was their own child. This was the first foster home that treated her like she truly was family, and she loved them. However, due to the bad influence the main villain had on her and her friends, she left the couple without saying goodbye or gave any explanations. Returning back after being saved was a very emotional moment for all of them, filled with sorries and I love yous. Tina explained everything that happened, and the couple was extremely loving and understanding, and they were very proud of Tina for now being part of a group of heroes, the Elemental Knighthood. When Tina asked if she could move in with everyone else, they agreed on the condition that she visits and always keeps contact with them, and Tina has kept her promise. Tina is kind, but does have a temper if you anger her. She's like a mom friend too, and would do all she can to help those who needs it. Finally, we have Damien. Damien is a baby albino python doll. However, Stormy is not the one who made him like she made Genix. Damien was originally from a pet store and was kidnapped and used as an experiment and thus was brought back as a doll. However, being too sweet and innocent for what his creators wanted, he was abandoned out in the streets badly injured. Thankfully, Dark found him and brought him home, healed him, cleaned him, and fed him. Genix was quite surprised to see another snake doll, but immediately started to act like an older brother or even a parent figure for Damien. Damien is a sweetheart, curious about the world and its wonders, and is also very cuddly and loves pats and hugs. Dark officially adopted him, and he is the most recent member of the Elemental Knighthood, safe from where he originally came from. I've been rather vague for this description, wasn't I? That's normal. After all, I can't spoil details that are for the next video. Speaking of which, I need to let you know that from this point forward, things will get much darker, heavy, and tragic as we dive forwards into the antagonist. I cannot stress enough about how the next parts are really not for young kids. Things are getting serious, so get ready. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, my fellow angels and demons. Alright, I'm recording this in the morning. Time to effing suffer. Chris was born in a clan that unfortunately was lost in... Oh, voice crack. That is until Dark and Stormy freed them from the... Martha never looked back and simply kept moving forward. Well, she often has a poker face, but she isn't emotionless by any means. God fucking damn it, Tori.